Welcome to East Coast Filipino Portal. Promo Play. Every Monday, we'll be posting one trivia question for you to answer and win a special prize from our sponsors. Our trivia question for this week is:
what is the special Nigerian rice that will be featured on the Nigerian Week this September 28th to October 5th? A. Java rice, B. Jollof rice, and C. Only rice.
Welcome to East Coast Filipino Portal. Promo Play. Every Monday, we'll be posting one trivia question for you to answer and win a special prize from our sponsors. Our trivia question for this week is:
what is the special Nigerian rice that will be featured on the Nigerian Week this September 28th to October 5th? A. Java rice, B. Jollof rice, and C. Only rice.
Welcome to East Coast Filipino Portal. Promo Play. Every Monday, we'll be posting one trivia question for you to answer and win a special prize from our sponsors. Our trivia question for this week is:
what is the special Nigerian rice that will be featured on the Nigerian Week this September 28th to October 5th? A. Java rice, B. Jollof rice, and C. Only rice.
Welcome to East Coast Filipino Portal. Promo Play. Every Monday, we'll be posting one trivia question for you to answer and win a special prize from our sponsors. Our trivia question for this week is:
what is the special Nigerian rice that will be featured on the Nigerian Week this September 28th to October 5th? A. Java rice, B. Jollof rice, and C. Only rice.
Welcome to East Coast Filipino Portal. Promo Play. Every Monday, we'll be posting one trivia question for you to answer and win a special prize from our sponsors. Our trivia question for this week is:
what is the special Nigerian rice that will be featured on the Nigerian Week this September 28th to October 5th? A. Java rice, B. Jollof rice, and C. Only rice.
Welcome to East Coast Filipino Portal. Promo Play. Every Monday, we'll be posting one trivia question for you to answer and win a special prize from our sponsors. Our trivia question for this week is:
what is the special Nigerian rice that will be featured on the Nigerian Week this September 28th to October 5th? A. Java rice, B. Jollof rice, and C. Only rice.
All right, so thank you for staying with us. Sorry, apologies for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, we had some connection challenges there, but we really appreciate those who have been messaging us, and of course our guests that they're still here.
They have not left.
No,
We're still here.
we will stay.
There we have it. So, guys, as you all know from the beginning, so we will be featuring, of course, they're here now, our nurses here in Nova Scotia. So, you guys want to introduce yourselves again? So, we'll start off from Bless right there.
Okay, my name is Bless. I'm from Benguet.
And currently I'm working as an LPN in a long-term care facility here in Halifax.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Faith. I'm from San Fernando, Bukidnon, and I'm currently working as a client service assistant at Parkland at the Gardens and care team assistant under CareCore.
Hi everyone, my name is Janice Regulacion. I'm currently working as a licensed practical nurse in a nursing home, and I'm from Davao City.
Yay!
Bisaya.
And of course, Nico is our guest host.
Papakilala pa ba ako?
Yeah!
Hi, I'm Nico. I'm from Isabela. I work as a personal care worker at a long-term care facility.
Ayan, awesome. And of course, straight from work tonight, Stephen. Stephen, you want to introduce yourself a
Hi.
little bit?
Hi, I'm Steven Condenuevo. I am currently a registered nurse working in the emergency department. But on top of that one, I am also working as a casual registered nurse working for CareCore, which is a staffing solution agency that's based here in Nova Scotia. Oh, and by the way, I'm also from Davao City.
Wow, awesome. So as we all know, nurses here in Canada and across the world, they portray a very important role in the
Yep.
community. And tonight, we want to know what really motivated them to become a nurse.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Well,
And
what's
how they were able to transition from outside of Canada
To-
moving here, becoming an CCA, LPN, and RN. All right.
So we'll start with Bless. What motivates you to become a nurse?
For me,
Because initially you were a teacher, right?
Yeah, teacher. Like I took 2 years of education, and then my brother asked me to shift to nursing because he's in the US and wanted me to go there. But then and then I came to love nursing, like all the things, and then I'm so grateful as well that I finished it because I was able to use it. The nursing skills that I've learned from school with taking care of my mom when she was sick. So that's awesome.
Wow. Awesome. So are you planning to go back to become a teacher, or you want to continue on as a nurse?
I want to continue as a nurse.
You can be a
Teacher, nurse.
teaching nurse.
Oh yeah. Clinical instructor.
That's another
Staff
opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Of course. And of course, we have Faith.
Yay!
Yay!
Well, first of all, I studied nursing because my brother was studying nursing. And my mom was saying if I study biology and I don't want to become a doctor anymore, then where would I work?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I will study as a nurse. And eventually, I liked the course, and I believe that I was called for this profession, and this is where I'm meant to be.
Parang kanta.
Kaya kasi.
I'll be there someday.
And okay.
And of course,
So-
Janice.
So what inspires me to be a nurse is that my mom really wanted to be a nurse. However, because
Wanted you, or she wanted to be a nurse?
she wanted
You to be a
no,
nurse.
she wanted
She
yes,
okay.
yes.
The mom.
So, but because of like financial difficulties, they don't have the means for her to go to the university. So she said that at least one of her children should be a nurse, and also
And luckily, that's you.
yes, and also because like in my family, all my aunts are in the US, so it also inspires me that becoming a nurse
Oh yes.
will be my ticket
Mhm.
to
Yes.
go and work overseas.
Yeah.
But however, on top of that is that I realized in my university that this profession would really motivate you and inspire you to help people
Yeah.
who are really have diseases and illnesses.
And of course, Stephen. Ayan. Jesus ka.
May
Sige,
line eh.
sige, si Nico. Sige,
Si Nico,
introduce mo,
Nico.
Nick.
So, first of all, thank you very much for that wonderful question.
And world peace.
Yeah. Maraming salamat po sa pag-invite ako dito sa isubong mo kay Tulfo. No, primarily I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was a kid. But my aunts and my relatives here in Canada asked me what are my favorite subjects. So I said my favorite subject was English and science. So they asked me, do you want to take nursing? We will help you take up nursing and we will fund for your nursing. So I said, okay. And then eventually while I was taking the course, I wasn't for it, I wasn't against it as well. But
So you were just going with the flow.
I have grown to love it. Especially when I started practicing as a registered nurse in the Philippines, I really love practicing. I really love seeing patients saying thank you to you every time you finish every time you finish your shift. So it's really rewarding, and I would just think how would be my life here as a registered nurse? Would it be the same from the Philippines, or would it be different? Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know yet. As we all know, Nico is brand new in Canada, so he came
fresh.
fresh compared to us. I'm just kidding. So Nico came from Middle East, from the Philippines to Middle East, and now in Canada. So he is representing the newcomers who are actually also nurses. So if you guys have any questions or anything that you wanted to know more about being a nurse here in Nova Scotia, please feel free to comment your questions or send your shout-outs. I want to say hi before Stephen. I want to say really hi to Brian Orania, to Roji Pasiones, to Apple. Thank you so much. We had some troubles a while ago, but you guys are still watching our live stream. Thank you so much. And now to Stephen.
Hi. So, hi there. With regards to what inspired me to become a nurse, so I actually have two reasons for that. First reason, it's because my mom is a registered nurse. Initially, she worked as a registered nurse in Kuwait as an emergency department nurse. That's actually where I got the inspiration why I wanted to be in the emergency department. And just basically hearing her stories regarding about her experiences of the Gulf War, it actually kind of captivated my attention when I was young, hearing her stories. So I said to myself, I will definitely would want to work in the healthcare sometime when I grow up. So fast forward, so when I was in it was 2010, I decided to take up nursing, not just because of my mom, but I also had a passion on becoming a doctor sometime. So I basically used my course in nursing that was supposed to be as my pre-medical course. But then my priorities have shifted ever since when we decided to come here to Canada. So pretty much everything we shifted. So nevertheless, I am still working I'm working as a registered nurse, and I'm most certainly loving it.
And then do you still have that plan to become a doctor? Maybe
pursue your doctor.
I still do have plans. I mean, my plans are open as of the moment, but it's not my priority for now.
Okay, sounds good. And then part of the program that we're going to do is to find out what's the process for people who are outside of Canada, even outside Nova Scotia, how they can become a registered nurse, a nurse here, a CCA initially, an LPN. What are the process that people need to go through so that it will be easier? Because absolutely you can do search online, right? But having someone actually mention to you the most efficient and effective way of doing something would save you a lot of time, right? So I think we have different types of ways for pathways that we have in here. So if you could just share how people from outside of Canada and outside of Canada, what are the things that they need to do? What are the places, the sites that they need to visit for them to be able to find the correct information for them to be able to come here and become a nurse?
So individually, ano yung mga pathway niyo? We'll start with Stephen. What was your pathway in coming to Canada?
Okay. So, regarding about sa pathway ko, it's actually, well, some of you may resonate sa situation ko, in my situation, because it's actually because of my mom. My
quickest
mom...
way, eh? The quickest way.
The quickest way. So because
So your mom arrived here first.
so my mom
Okay.
first came here in year 2009.
Mhm.
Okay.
She came here on a skilled workers visa.
Yeah.
So when she decided to apply for permanent residency here in Canada, that was late 2009.
Mhm.
And during that time, I was still within the legal age to still be under
Yeah.
her application as a dependent.
Yeah.
So it was because of that one that I was able to come here to Canada as a permanent resident.
That's
So
And then you were a fresh graduate in the Philippines.
I was a fresh
as
graduate
nurse.
in the Philippines when I first came here.
Mhm.
So fast forward from 2010 till 2014. 2014, I finished my nursing education in the Philippines. I
Mhm.
graduated, then took the nursing licensure examination. And right after passing the nursing licensure examination, I pretty much collected all of my papers in
Mhm.
preparation for my application here in Canada, because during that time I was already quite aware that a
Mhm.
new
Mhm.
way of assessing the credentials was actually going to be rolled out, and
Yeah.
that during that
Yes.
time it was
Mhm.
it's the National Nursing Assessment Service.
Yeah.
So I pretty much prepared all of my requirements while I was in the Philippines prior
Yeah.
to coming here to Canada.
Which
So-
is different with NCLEX, right?
which is way different with
Mhm.
NCLEX, I would say.
Way, way.
Okay,
Yes.
before we're gonna proceed in that line of conversation, we'll go to Bless.
Yeah.
Because you came here because your mom petitioned you, and you know you
Most
that was
certainly.
that was quite easy for you. But Bless, how did you come here? What was your pathway?
I came here in Canada year 2014,
Mhm.
and I studied the CCA course.
Mhm.
They credited some of my nursing subjects, so I
Nice.
just some of the modules. Yeah, I saved
So you
them.
did take some nursing course in the Philippines.
Like I'm an RN in the Philippines, right?
Oh, okay,
so
okay,
they
sorry.
credited some of my nursing subjects there. So instead of
So-
getting the full,
But like the
CCA
full
course,
CCA.
like they just gave me some modules to take.
Oh,
And, yeah,
nice.
just
Okay.
which college is that?
Nice. I didn't
You came here as a student.
Student visa.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
see.
That's
Gotcha.
interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and then after that, I
2014,
yeah,
right?
2014, that's January. And then I was given the eligibility to take the LPN exam as well. So I took it September, October 14.
Yeah.
And then I took the CCA provincial exam as well, just in case I failed the other
Yeah.
exam.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
At least you have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very wise.
So yours is as a student. That's
As
how
a student.
you came here.
Yes.
And did you find it quite challenging? Were your expectations met?
Yeah, it was really quite challenging because like it's a foreign land and
Of course.
it's really different how from the Philippines, like the
Yeah.
setting in the
Mhm.
school. Like here, you have to be more vocal with your opinions.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And then what's this? But everybody were really like accommodating and helpful.
Yeah.
Like first
Mhm.
day of school, I thought it was just my orientation, but when I went there, oh, it's class. So okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then yeah.
for the student pathway, where did you go? What are the like briefly in this brief explanation? What were the steps that you did for the student pathway?
Oh, okay. For me, I think it's different from before to now, but I'm gonna explain how I did. So, what's this? There's a paper application,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have these forms that you have to sign, and then give it to PRC, to your school, and then to your employer.
Okay.
And then to your employer, you have at least 1,000 hours, more than 1,000 hours, and it should be paid. And
Okay.
then it should be sent to to the college of
Okay.
LPN. But then in my time, it's WES, World
Mhm.
Education Services.
Yeah.
Prior to
Compared,
NNAS.
yeah, prior
yes.
to NNAS.
Prior to
And then
NNAS.
after, first WES, and then the forms that
Mhm.
are directed to the college of LPN
Yeah.
from your employer, as I said, from PRC, and from the school.
Mhm.
And then from there, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes.
You went through from
And
there.
then you get the eligibility once it's all done.
Oh
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and in my time, like when I was given that eligibility,
Mhm.
I have 3 tries to take the exam within that year. So
Okay.
it was kind of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Right.
gratefully.
At least you got three
Yes.
trials.
But you passed it.
And you
Yeah,
found the
sure.
first one.
Did it.
Wow. Congratulations.
Just once.
By the way, before we go to Faith, your dad is watching.
Oh.
Francisco. Hi, Francisco. Ayan, so in your case naman, Faith, what was your pathway?
Oh, express entry via provincial nominating program.
Mm-hmm.
So before it was paper, what do you call that? Paper based though. Now
Yeah,
it's
wow,
online.
yeah.
I think it's
Online.
harder this time, isn't it? Or it depends.
I think it depends.
Yeah, but before it was paper based, so
Mhm.
it was easier for us because that my sister did it herself.
And she's based here already,
Yeah,
right?
she's based here,
Mhm.
and then after 8 months they replied. I actually also applied for the UK and
Mm-hmm.
I got accepted in one of the hospitals, but
Nice,
Canada
nice.
replied, so I'm like, okay, my sister and brothers
Already
and
here.
brother are there, so and I think
Family
I'm meant to be
matters,
here.
yeah.
Oh, most certainly.
And you're meant to be in East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we actually have one question in here, but we'll ask the question after Janice finishes.
Okay.
So yours is express entry,
Yes.
right? Awesome. Okay, Janice.
So my pathway was the federal skilled worker. That was before the express entry started.
Okay.
I think we were the last batch.
I see.
Yeah, who got the visa for the federal skilled worker. Actually, it wasn't really my plan to be in Canada. I had my NCLEX long time before, since 2008, because I was really planning to go to the US, but when the US had their recession time,
Yes.
so all my dreams were shattered. I went to
Shattered.
But of course, life must go
Go
on.
on. Yeah.
I
The show
went to
must
the
go on.
Sultanate of Oman in the Middle East. I spent almost 5 years there, worked as a pediatric nurse, and then I realized, like, okay, do I really
next?
need to be here in Oman for life, or what's my plan? Then I decided to try Canada. So luckily, when the federal skilled worker opened for registered nurses, and they only need to get like 1,000 applicants.
Oh, okay.
So, and all our papers were prepared because I supposed to apply for the Quebec,
Oh,
for the Quebec. But anyway, so within 8 months we got our visa,
That's great.
and then 2015 we came here, like my husband, my daughter,
Yeah,
and
that's
Yes.
awesome. So the question that we have, how about you, Nico? Do you want to share? Or?
Well, I shared already last time, but
Last time nag-ano
last
several.
time kasi
Okay.
nag-guest
Okay.
same din
So,
kami
right.
na provincial
Okay.
nominee program, but it's online now.
Yeah.
I got my nomination last year
Yes.
for registered nurse, October 2018, and then I got my visa this year, February.
What's the website that they need to go to? Because yours is online, right?
Just CIC, the
CIC.
CIC.ca.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the work was done because I was with an agency that time, but I did my own research as well.
Okay.
What needs to be done? What are the things that you need to think about submitting,
Yeah.
like forms or details? Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of research, we have an online question. So she's also doing her own research. Rachel de la Cruz,
Yeah.
shout out to you. Her question, before with that question, I want to say thank you to David Salcedo for helping me out. Search this amazing nurses. David, thank you so much. Okay, let's go to Rachel de la Cruz. Her question is it possible to endorse your US license to Canada?
Well, that is actually quite interesting kasi I also encountered that same question nung way back 2014. So just so you know, prior to NCLEX here in Canada, the first examination was the Canadian Registered Nurses Examination, which was a paper and pen based exam. But I think they decided to implement the NCLEX examination, which is basically an American examination, just in 2015. So bago lang siya. So the common misconception before was that since Canada is now NCLEX, you have to take the Canadian version of the NCLEX. But then this was actually clarified by the regulatory bodies of nurses here provincially in Canada, that they say that if you have your NCLEX examination, once you have already passed your NCLEX examination, regardless of what state in the United States, is still recognized here in Canada.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, even
2
if
years ago. Yeah.
Right. But even if you may have already passed your NCLEX examination, if there are any requirements that you still need to comply here, depending on the province's provincial requirements, you still have to comply with it, even if you may have already passed your NCLEX. But I would rather say the only advantage of having your NCLEX prior to coming here to Canada is that you no longer need to retake your exam.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's
They don't have to retake NCLEX.
No more.
Yeah.
No more.
Is there a validity for NCLEX? Like, will it last for 3 years? No.
No.
Once you're
It's not
once you
expired.
passed it, you're good.
Yes.
and that's
It's not expired.
usually the preparation for an NCLEX.
Mhm.
How long does it usually take?
It depends.
Well, I would rather say it depends, right?
Yes, yes.
On your
okay.
capacity.
So
Depends,
it
yes.
always depends
it's in
on
my
your
case, it's
capacity
5
and
years.
your preparedness to
Yeah.
take the exam
Your
because
willingness to study.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and talking about the NCLEX, I just want to mention that if you are like done with their bridging program,
Yes.
so the iSense
Oh,
has
yes.
the NCLEX review
Mm-hmm.
so it's sessions. If you want to grab that opportunity, so you can just go to iSense, you can register and inquire about the
For Nova Scotia.
NCLEX
Yeah.
review.
Right.
Yeah, that's only for Nova Scotia.
Yes.
So
yes.
iSense, their website is iSense.ca, right? So for
Yes.
those that are not
I
familiar with
believe so it
iSense,
is,
just click in iSense.ca and you'll know more about iSense.
Yeah, just to clarify, that's the iSense is for Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
only, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are government-funded programs from different provinces. Just
Most
check
of
the Service Canada
Yeah.
Yeah.
in your province.
So as of the moment, we are featuring nurses of Nova Scotia in this part of Canada. So I know most of our fellow kababayans are not familiar with Nova Scotia. So if you are facing the map, we are
On the
at the right side of Canada.
facing the Atlantic
Yeah, I
side.
think
Yeah,
that's-
ayan. Yeah, we have a map in this studio. Ayan, so,
Join us.
ayan, so,
Join us.
a lot of our viewers are watching. Christine said, "Go bless Faith and Jan." Dami yung mga fans. Tapos si Brian Gonico, ayan. So, yun, nakatutok talaga sila. And Alan Manilias, he's watching right now as well. Okay, so going back to our conversation. So, if I'm in your case, like Bless and the three of you, because yours is quite pretty easy, you know. But in your case, what really pushed you to keep on going? Because for 8 months to prepare and to come here, I think it takes some mental and some emotional challenges, or and preparedness. So, what kept you going? I know you have a family, so that's number
Yes,
one.
yes.
Your family will keep you going despite the fact your dream was shattered in going to
The US.
US. Pero because of your family, you continued on. Pero si Faith, single. So how long did it take you?
Endorsement
But
was
taken.
Single but not available.
But taken.
Okay, so the two of you, what really motivated you to continue on with the process of coming here and to be a nurse?
Well, mine was actually I kind of suffered from self-diagnosed depression in the Philippines.
Wow.
I was working in tertiary hospital and I had a hard time because we only have like 1 day off and then 6 days straight, and I don't know, it
happens.
came to a point that I didn't have a social life, and
It's true. It
Very
happens.
dedicated.
And you-
nurse.
and you're working so hard and you're still asking allowance from your parents.
Wow.
So it was really hard, and you don't get to meet your friends anymore. Just tell them because you're busy or you just want to sleep. And there were instances that I only get to eat 1 meal a day because
Wow.
I don't get to take a break in the hospital, and I'd
Yes.
rather.
I wish I can
I'd
have
rather-
1 meal a day.
And I'd rather sleep after working, so I was so thin. So I think it was more on the common term, finding a greener pasture.
Yeah.
And like you also have self-worth, and
No, yeah.
No.
you think and you believe that you deserve better.
You're more than that.
Nadaanan sa mga
So
I can be more.
as we know, Carl is here in the studio, and for Bless, this is the question. You have your family with you as well. So what really kept you going to continue on with that process as a student?
Oh, as a student. I was away away from them for like 3 years, right? It was
Wow,
kind of hard.
nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Skype and everything. You
Okay
cry
lang
and
yan.
they're but at least they're here. And then what's this? My sister is here. Hi, Ate Red. Charot. That's why it's really easier for me to adjust. And John and Johnny's Morehouse, Canadian parents. So and everyone is really helpful. That's why it kept me going. And friends, of course.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Awesome. Speaking of awesome, we have a lot of viewers right now. John Serda, he's watching, and of course Rex is also yeah, he's also a nurse. So thanks so much for helping us out here in East Coast Filipino Portal. Ayan, so this is the nitty-gritty details of how to become a nurse in Nova Scotia. So we'll start with what are the necessary steps. So Bless came in, and I know you want to pursue your RN. You're now an LPN from CCA. So basically, when you come to Nova Scotia, specifically in this province, if you're a nurse in the Philippines, correct me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I'm wrong. If you are a nurse in the Philippines and you come here, you have to start from being a CCA,
Oh, yes.
right? So it's always that first step. And then what happens from there if you want to pursue?
So I have a question for them actually. I prepared a question.
Oh, sige,
Yes.
sige, sige.
Yeah.
First question
Yeah,
to
first question.
Hot seat.
Yeah, first kalakasan ko daw. Ayan, medyo mahinim kasi yung boses. First question is, so hindi tayo nakapasok dito as registered nurse immediately, right?
yes.
So, for you guys, what is your first job, or what is your job while you're preparing or processing for your RNs?
Okay, so like yes, for me, like because once you are registered nurse from the Philippines here in Nova Scotia, you are eligible to apply and work as a continuing or
CCA.
care
Or as a
assistant,
CCA, yes.
or as a CCA or a personal care worker,
PCW.
PCW, as long as within 2
2
years,
years.
you need to update,
Upgrade.
upgrade your profession and become at least LPN or RN.
Within that picture of 2
within,
years.
within
Within
2
2
years,
years.
you need to upgrade. So for me,
Wow.
I work as a CCA in a nursing home,
Yes.
and
Yes, in
then
the nursing home.
from there, I gather all my documents. I process all the papers needed in NS to complete the NS, to
yes.
comply the NS,
Tama.
so that I could get the advisory report.
Yeah.
However, I think not only me who had really a challenging experience towards completion of the English proficiency.
I think we all
Yes.
share the same
Yes.
sentiment,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen.
So yun yung parang nagpa-delay sa akin for a few months. That's why I work as a CCA for a year. And then when I passed the SALBAN, not the IELTS, I passed the SALBAN, then the process went through. I had my eligibility to take the LPN, and then waiting for the bridging program that time.
Just for the sake of our non-nursing audiences, could you explain to us what is SELBAN?
Oh, okay. So, SALBAN is the Canadian English Language Benchmark for assessment for nurses.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Because if you want to be...
In US, it's IELTS.
No,
No.
No,
IELTS
different.
is
Okay.
there's
IELTS is
different...
international.
Oh,
Yes.
international
Yes.
English language.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you
Language
have,
testing system.
it's the same content that you'll be tested with your listening, reading, speaking,
Similar to
and
IELTS.
writing. It's just that
It's just
in
for
Salban,
nurses.
it's more of the nursing
Yes.
topics. So you are familiar with the exam, with what's with the topic in the exam.
That's good. Okay, for you. What is your job before while processing your registered?
I'm learning.
2 weeks after I arrived here in Nova Scotia, I worked as a client service assistant. It's the same with CCA, but we work with in the assisted floor. So it's kind of lighter than living in working in enhanced care unit. And then I eventually applied in care core. So then, because I want to get to know, like how is the environment in the hospital. So I work under care core. So
they supply nurses for the hospital.
CCAs, nurses, and nurses
in the hospital, healthcare.
So I get to know the units in the veterans hospital. What do you call it? Veterans building, and then also in the Halifax Infirmary. Victoria General, so it's also a good exposure.
Great. How about you, Beth?
Hi, Nico.
Actually, me and Beth work together in the same floor.
We know each other.
Yeah.
What's this? Oh, what's this? When I was studying, it didn't work really at all, thanks to my sister.
That's a good help.
Yes, it's a good help. What's this? And then it's just 9 months course, right? 9-month course. So what's this? I passed the LPN October, so I applied after that, and luckily, they absorbed me after applying to various healthcare settings.
That's good.
So you didn't really work as a CCA?
No, I applied for CCA jobs, but next day I got the result.
Good for
That's
you.
good.
Wow.
Good for you. What's your job before having your RN?
So prior to being a nurse, so when I first came here, I worked as a CCA in one of the nursing homes. So it was really quite interesting because they are pretty much a good majority of nursing homes actually do prefer Filipinos who are registered nurses, because they actually do know that they are registered nurses, which is why they prefer Filipino CCAs during that time. Although the only requirement is that in 2 years you need to get your licensure, regardless if it is an LPN, an RN, or a CCA certification. So while waiting for my NNAS advisory report, I actually had to wait for 10 months. Just waiting for my advisory report because I was pretty much caught up in collecting all of my requirements. So straightforward, when I got my advisory report, I was given the eligibility to work as pretty much to take the LPN examination. And I was actually the last batch to write the paper pen examination of the LPN examination, because after that one it became computerized. It is computer based, exactly. So
you guys are in that generation.
Yes. It was computer based.
That's good.
So yes. So when I passed the LPN examination, I immediately worked as an LPN. So just to sum it up, I worked as a CCA for 10 months. Then I worked as an LPN. Although I was initially working as an LPN just because I was waiting for my completion of the bridging program course for my RN, because my advisory report came in because I applied for 2 regulatory bodies in NNAS. My RN advisory report came in as not comparable.
Okay.
So I was given either 2 options. I was actually given 2 options by the college. Either to take the simulation examination or take the full bridging program course. Well, in my case, just because I was not familiar with the processes of what was best or what's not best, I decided to take the simulation examination, knowing that I actually took confidence that I was a fresh graduate, maybe perhaps my fresh knowledge would help me. But then as it turned out, the context is really different.
Oh, okay.
So doon ako nadali. So in the end, I was required to take still the bridging program course. So I was actually nagkaroon ako ng pagsisisi sa huli na dapat na lang nag-bridging program course ako. But nevertheless, it's still an enriching experience pa rin. Because having a simulation examination, like you're being video recorded, at the same time there is an actor or an actress who's pretending to be a patient, but unbeknownst to you, they actually are nurses too.
Oh, wow.
And at the same time, there is
they will evaluate you as well.
And they will evaluate you as well. And there's another invigilator who's just taking down notes, and it's video recorded.
So I'm getting a lot of terms. You guys work, because I'm not a nurse. So you guys work, you guys get exams, you guys study. How do you get motivated? What's your advice? Because there's a lot of newcomers, and most of them are nurses in the Philippines.
Oh, yes,
So you are
yes.
only given 2 years. So work as a CCA, study, pass the exam. How will you deal with it? How did you guys deal with it? How did you deal with the pressure?
I think from my perspective as a newcomer,
Yes.
I think yung motivation namin dito siguro to enter Canada and be a registered nurse is because Canada has a demand for registered nurses, especially here in Nova Scotia.
Yes.
So getting a registered nurse license or even like in the CCR or the medical field, it's easy for us to apply in the job. It's easy for us to get a job.
True.
At kahit nga yung mga ibang mga courses, I mean, outside na mga hindi nag-take ng nursing, nag-a-apply sila sa CCA because it's
True.
easier to get a job.
That is true.
The demand.
The
demand is really great.
Yeah. Kaysa mag-apply sila sa office or sa ibang mga job, it's hard for them to look for a job. Pag nag-take sila ng CCA course, madali sila makakapasok kasi Canada has a growing, is it a growing
It has a
population
growing
or
population.
yeah.
So my
Geriatric
question is,
population.
how do you balance
Population.
all of those things that are going on? Like you are a CCA, you will be taking exam, you only have 2 years. How did you guys get to balance that?
Well, like, for me.
And you got kids,
Yes, I got kids.
and you got a
That's
husband.
difficult.
Of course. Of course. Yes. Diba?
So how did you
be a
balance?
superwoman. No, you really need a very good determination,
True.
a very good determination and motivation towards your dream. Because in the first place, I am a registered nurse,
Yes.
not only in the Philippines but in Oman, and I really want to work here as an RN.
Yes.
It's not easy, so you need a lot of patience. You need a lot of prayers.
True.
Yes, because there's so much challenges along the way
Yes.
from like completing your papers and
True.
towards the passing the different exams from English proficiency to licensure examination. So it's not,
finances.
and of course the finances. So
Oh,
you need
yes.
to work, but don't forget your goal and your plan while you're working. Because others, like I've heard from my other friends that they would say, "Oh, I'm tired of doing this.
Studying.
It's a
Studying.
long
Oh,
process.
yes.
I don't have the time. I'm contented now of where I am."
Yeah.
And if that's your perspective, it's okay, because we have different perspectives. But
True.
Just
like,
don't draw me in.
yeah. But me personally, I really wanted to be a nurse,
Yeah.
a registered nurse specifically. So I believe that I can be more. So no matter what it takes, I'll be there and
Yeah.
I'll get my license.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
really within you, your desire,
Yes,
your
yes, the
determination.
desire.
That's why whatever challenge will come along your way to get your registered nurse status, they will never hinder you. Those challenges will never hinder you. So, you, Janice, syempre you have a family. What's your advice to all those newcomers and who are within that 2-year term? What's your advice to them?
Well, actually, at least if you don't get your RN right away within 2 years, there's always a step to become LPN, right?
True.
So, like rather than going to a completion of a CCA certificate, since you are a registered nurse, and once you are a registered nurse in the Philippines, you are somewhat comparable in a way and eligible to take the LPN. So that's another at least step closer of becoming an RN.
So your advice is not to
One
waste
step
your
at a time.
as an RN in the Philippines and you come here. Do not waste your time taking
Yes.
CCA
Yes.
certificate. Rather go step
Go
higher
direct,
Yes,
right away.
yes.
Go direct.
So once you get your LPN status, will that free you from the 2-year, or you have like
Yes,
more
yes,
years?
yes,
Like,
yes.
okay. Ay, salamat. So
Yes,
meron pala. So that's the way.
Ito.
Instead of like crumbling or crushing yourself to get the RN, get the LPN first,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, the
so that you'll be
CCA
away from the pressure.
The term CCA, so continuing care assistant, is that universally known? Do people outside of Canada know what a CCA is?
Actually, no.
So
They
how
do
could
have
you
different-
describe it?
Yeah,
as
they
here?
do have different terms, like
The same scope.
care, like the
Care worker.
care worker,
CW.
caregiver,
Or daily
Okay,
living
so-
assistant.
oh, daily
Because
living assistant.
people who are from outside of Canada might be asking, what's a CCA? What do they do? So if they are outside of Canada, how could they compare CCA to what's, say, for
What's
example, outside in Kuwait
Or in the
nurse
Philippines.
in the
I
Philippines?
think
Nurse
in the
assist.
Philippines, nursing aid.
Nursing aid.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
if
So-
I'm
So
correct.
whatever the nursing aid does, that's the equivalent of CCA here.
Yes, here
Yeah,
in,
Okay.
in
Yeah, so
Canada.
they can relate. Oh, that's nursing aid. Okay.
Yes.
It's not too bad for me because I now know I'll be a CCA when I arrive to Nova Scotia.
At least you still have the choice. You don't need to be a CCA if you don't
Yeah.
want
True,
to.
true.
You can always work anywhere else. Like you can be in a call center. You can
Or whatever.
Fast food chain.
fast food chain. If
Coffee shop.
yeah, if you don't want to be a
office.
CCA. But the easiest way here, especially here in Nova Scotia, is that there's a lot of nursing homes.
Yeah.
retired,
Nursing
aging
homes
population.
are
and the
high in
aging
demand.
population
There's
is
a
high
demand for
demand.
that work. Yeah.
Always,
So-
always.
So why would you go somewhere else when there's a demand for
Yeah.
it, right?
Mhm.
And the pay is
Precisely.
better than
Pay.
if you
Oh yes, I agree.
work in a fast food chain
Fast food chain.
or
And
outside
benefits
the
are
country.
amazing too.
And
Yeah.
benefits are also amazing.
Most certainly.
So,
Yeah. So people who are CCA, what are the motivations for them to, so their people are going to arrive as a CCA here, right? Or they would have the ability to work as a CCA. And then I know some people who are CCA but they don't want to, as you mentioned, they don't want to go and
To
move to
pursue.
the next level.
yeah.
For them, why would they be motivated to go and strive to become an LPN and RN?
Well, I think first of all, because there's a big at least a difference, not a big, really, but there's a difference in terms of the pay scale.
Yes.
And also
most
there's a big
certainly.
difference with the job responsibilities
And with the
Yeah.
scope of practice.
and the scope of
It's
practice.
different.
Yeah.
At least when you are LPN, then at least you will feel that
You're a nurse.
I'm a nurse.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
Of course, there's a limitation of your scope of practice,
Yeah.
but that's a closer to compare to RN,
Oh,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and well, you don't want to waste your education.
Most
That's
certainly.
my
That's
my
exactly
perspective,
right.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to waste my education. I have a good experience. I have
Yeah.
my education, so might as well
Get 2
bring it
licenses.
and use it here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I don't blame other people who don't want to pursue.
Yeah, we
Oh,
have,
yes.
we have,
Yeah,
yeah, we all
because
have different
there's so
preferences.
many challenges.
Mhm.
Financially, it's not easy. Like how much do you need to pay applying for NAS?
Mhm.
That's 650.
1,400.
Oh my god, also 650 US dollars.
Yes.
That's in US dollars,
So
just
that's
for the assessment.
1,000 Canadian
Yeah,
dollars.
that's
That's
for
only-
your RN and for your LPN. I think
Yes.
it's
Yes.
almost 1,400.
Same,
And
same.
then you need to pay for the
English
SELBA,
program,
English
yes.
exam.
So English exam,
English
there's another
exam.
400 something.
Or
So
350
it's not
for
really
IELTS.
it's not really easy, but
It's
If
it's
you-
hard, but it's not impossible.
True.
It's not
it's
impossible,
not
right?
impossible.
So I have another question for you guys. So
Mm.
this is for Stephen and for the LPNs. I know I'm
For
working
yes.
towards having my license very soon. So what is your experience on your first day being a registered nurse or a nurse? Let's start with you, Stephen.
Okay, so that really is a good question. Kasi when I first worked as a nurse, I was initially working as an LPN. So I started off working as an LPN. So I first worked in a nursing home as an LPN. So on my first job as an LPN, I was still being orientated during that time. I would rather say I was in a huge shock. And as I mentioned earlier,
This is in comparison with the Philippine setting and
most certainly
Okay.
different.
Okay.
Okay.
Just having the license.
It's really
Yeah.
different because, and most especially that I was working in a nursing home, and nursing homes are not really common in the Philippines. So you really have no
There's
background
Yes.
or contextual background
Definitely.
on how a nursing home is being managed, yet alone you being an LPN.
Yeah.
So during that time, I was really struggling, and it was a huge steep learning curve for me. Most especially that I was at a disadvantage because when I first came here to Canada, I never had any actual nursing experiences in the Philippines.
Yes.
Again, as I've
Fresh
mentioned,
graduate.
I came here as a fresh
Fresh.
grad. So that was one of my disadvantages. So, but nevertheless, other nursing staff members will most certainly help you in the way. But probably one of the things that I would advise is you stay within your scope of practice. Like for example, even if you're working as a CCA, there are some specific interventions or actions that you can actually do, like giving, like basic daily activities or daily care. But for example, giving medications, it's either an LPN or an RN can do. Although for high critical medications, it's usually the RN who gives it. So you must be aware of what your scope of practice
Yes,
is.
very important.
Very much. Kasi,
And there's an orientation for that before
almost,
you
yes,
get
yeah,
into.
yeah. There is an orientation for that one. So anyway, I had the orientation for almost a month. Then after 1 month, I
That's
worked.
long, yeah.
Yes. So after 1 month, that pretty much gave me a good background on working independently. So basta, the only tip that I can give, seriously speaking, just stay within your scope of practice.
So
When you
when
can never be in trouble.
just a follow up on the orientation, would people outside of Nova Scotia know that what is part of orientation, or is that specific for Nova Scotia? You think?
Well, I would rather say it might be, or it might be specific to Nova Scotia because every provincial nursing board regulation has different scope of practices.
Yeah. Okay.
For example, in some parts of Alberta, I heard that LPNs are allowed to give blood transfusion.
Okay.
But here in Nova Scotia, LPNs cannot give blood transfusion.
Okay.
So that itself is different. So sa orientation program pa lang,
You will be informed.
you will be informed kung ano
of your
yung
scope of
pwede mong
practice.
gawin.
Yes.
I'm just referring to working as an LPN here in Nova Scotia. So doon pa lang malalaman mo na kung ano yung limitations mo.
Okay.
So the most important thing is just don't go beyond.
Okay.
And you can always like go back to the policy
Of course,
manuals of
yes.
your employer or
Basa na
the
naman.
institution where you're
Most
working.
Yes.
May manual na naman. So,
Because that's where all your scope of practice are stipulated. So if you're in doubt, always go back to what's the policy of the institution where you're working, so that you'll be safe because
Oh,
you
yes.
don't want to lose your license.
You don't want to lose your license.
I feel so privileged because kahit busy sila, even though the nurses are very busy.
Yeah.
Look, they're here,
Hindi naman
you know,
tayo.
informing our audience of this very essential information. But I'm really trying to dip my my feet into your life as you process your RN, your registered nurse status. So did you guys get any help from iSans, or you guys get connected with community? I know your families are very supportive. Your sister, she was, and still she's very supportive. Your husband, Alfred, and your sister also, right? Your brother, and
Jowa.
and your family. And
course,
family
your
ni
family.
Stephen, and of course si Nico, yung family mo sa Toronto. So did you
Yung
guys
wasabi ko eh.
Jawa daw yun.
did you guys some good inspiration. So
Yes.
so did you guys get any help from the community or from any instrumentalities within the government for you to be able to pursue? I know there's a financial difficulty as well. you
Always,
mentioned a while ago.
always,
So
always.
did you get Did you get any help from somewhere else to be able to?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
There are so many like resources if you need help. One is the ISANS, so that's the International Settlement
Immigration.
Immigration
Settlement
Settlement Association
of
of
Nova
Nova
Scotia.
Scotia.
Yes.
So if you are new here and you need some help of where to go, you can always register yourself to ISANS. Then from there, they will help you they will give you employer specialist so
Mhm.
to really update your resume, because resume in the Philippines
Yeah, it's
is
different.
different,
It's different.
here.
Yes.
Novella form.
Way different.
Iba.
Sobrang iba.
In the Philippines, it's novella form.
Yes,
Yeah.
But
the,
here
the
it's
more
very-
pages you have,
The more
it's
The more chances of
And at the same time, that's also, speaking of resume, yun din ang naging observation ko. Kasi sa Pilipinas, dapat may biographical data ka.
Yes.
May
At
height
saka,
and weight.
at saka dapat may picture.
Yeah, you need to have it
Picture.
Picture.
But here in Canada,
That's not required.
that's not required, and that is considered discriminatory.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of discriminatory, there's a lot of forums online, and I want to commend Pinoy Canada Immigration when in Halifax for helping out our incoming nurses to Nova Scotia. And of course, there's also that page that you guys are into. You want to promote
Yes.
that as well?
So I would like to promote the Pinoy IEN group of Canada. So we actually do have a dedicated Facebook page for that one. So just in case if
So
you...
it's Pinoy IEN or Pinoy Internationally Educated
Yes.
Nurses. Okay.
Yes. So if you want to, you can sign up. Although this group is actually exclusive, so one of the administrators need to approve your membership into it. So anyway, as you mentioned earlier, you actually recognized David. He's actually one of the admins as well. So
I think you too, right?
and yes,
Yes.
ako rin. So yeah, so if you guys are curious on getting more experiences, or if you want more information, rather
Get connected online.
Get connected
There's a lot
online.
of instruments online.
Pinoy
that-
IEN group is your go-to for
And this is what Faye Villacampa said. She's from PI, right? Practicing nursing PI.
Yeah.
She said, "I'm happy to see this live stream. Future nurses have support now as compared to the previous generations."
Oh yes,
Amazing.
oh yes, that is true. I agree.
Oh, she's a traveling nurse all over
Right.
Canada?
No, I think she's in the north na. Ate Faye?
Faye Villacampa? Okay.
Not that I know.
Okay, we'll message her.
Yeah, but
And
I
their story is also inspiring.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. So, Nico, you have... Oh,
I have
meron pa
3
ka.
more questions here.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and
Ready na ba ang kape?
yun, in your years of practice, so say for example you're practicing as a registered nurse for more than a year or 2, what do you think are the differences from practicing nursing in the Philippines and practicing nursing here in Canada or in Nova Scotia?
Well,
Na-mention kanina, di ba, ni Stephen? Yung difference. Oh,
So we'll ask for their insight as well.
Okay.
oh, well, I'm not I'm just still
Oh,
waiting for my
providing care,
license,
yeah,
but
providing care.
when we did our clinical at Dartmouth General Hospital, so in the Philippines, I didn't do personal care.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the
No,
big
it's not-
differences
no, no.
because I only carry out doctor's order and give medications. In here, you will be assigned to 3 to 4 patients, and then you will need to give morning care,
Mhm.
and then that's
Feeding them.
yeah. Sometimes if they need like assistance or
Yeah.
total feeding, and also with giving medications too.
So you have to be a before morning person.
Morning
You
shift.
have to be able to give your
Yes.
morning care,
There's
right?
also
Yeah.
taking care.
Before
There's
morning
also
person.
eating care.
Yeah.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
And also giving
BMP.
medications because
Grabe ang nurses.
well in the Philippines if we give like if we have an ampoule and we only need half
Oh
you can
yes.
save that
But not here.
not here.
Not here.
yeah.
Discard.
And you can save the vial too and if there's
Oh my
still
goodness.
yeah
Well, the
Not here.
because
Right?
of course, like we can't compare apple and orange, right?
Yeah.
Because
Right,
there's a big
exactly,
difference.
exactly.
Philippine setup, healthcare setting,
Mhm.
and here
Oh, yes.
the healthcare system here in Canada is universal. It's
It is
free for all.
universal. Yes.
And because of course this is a
It's
first
funded.
world country compared to a third world
Yes.
Of
country,
course.
and the modality in the Philippines and here
Okay,
in
it's
Canada
different.
is different.
Yes.
The modality here in Canada
It's
is more of
primary
primary
care
nursing,
nursing.
team nursing as well as the
Exactly.
primary care nursing. So it means that you have a patient, you have a set of or number of patients that you
And
need
you
to
do
take
everything
care,
for them.
and you need to do everything, like from the
Wow.
admissions,
Wow.
from
In
the
the Philippines.
discharge.
In the Philippines,
Wow.
every
It's
nurse
different.
has different
Yeah.
roles.
So,
But here you do everything.
functional nursing in the Philippines, I think that's a functional
It is
nursing, if I'm
functional
not
nursing.
mistaken. So it means that there's a charge nurse
There's
who
a
will
medical
carry out
nurse.
all the doctor's order, and there's also a
Medication nurse.
medicating nurse who will give all the
All the
medications
medication.
within within the unit, and there's the nursing aide who will take care of the vital
Vital
signs.
signs.
So it's a different
Mode.
modality and setup. So that's why it's quite different. And going through the bridging program is very helpful.
Essential.
It's very essential and very helpful.
I would say.
Especially you will be orientated in the Canadian healthcare
Setting,
settings.
Oh yes.
So
Oh,
you
yes.
said,
That's what you advise also, right?
That's what I would
Yeah.
advise as well.
Yeah.
Take the bridging program
yeah.
course.
So you said you worked in Oman, right?
Yes.
So how would is the practice of nursing there and here in Canada the same, or it's different also?
It's almost, well, based on my experience, it's
In the
almost,
general hospital, right?
yes, it's almost the same.
Yeah.
Because we do also primary nursing.
Yeah.
It's just that I am in the
Yeah.
pediatrics, so kids, so I don't need to give like a bedside care,
Yeah.
not unless they have.
They
We
allow.
have also a IMCU or the high dependency.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we also have that. So if the patient is very sick, so we need to give bedside care. Otherwise, mothers,
They're taking care
there
of
were
their kids.
mothers
Yeah.
who take care of their also kids, who look over their kids so they can give bedside care. But in terms of the equipment, so it's almost the same of what they're using here
Oman.
and there. And in terms of giving medication, it's also here we have a system that exists. So it's a computer based. So we're also
Medication
using a
systems,
computer.
Same, right?
Computer
There's a
based
barcode for every patient.
that's
Yeah,
in the nursing homes, but there's also a different way in the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh, yes.
So it's if you like for me in my experience working in the Middle East, there's also an advantage
Yeah.
and exposing
Yes.
yourself here in the Canadian healthcare system. But there's also like a disadvantage because like the language wise, yes, because like you learn how to speak. Like me personally, I learned how to speak Arabic, and I love the Arabic,
Yes. Yeah.
the language. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when I came here,
What about
it's
that?
more of all, of course, English. So
And
it's,
then
it's really
the English terms in the Middle East is like in the British
Yes.
British terms. They use British terms for some terms, like for
Yeah.
example the elevator, they say
Lift.
lift in the Middle East. Here
Then
they say
it's the same in
elevator.
not in UK.
Yeah. That's
So there's a pros and cons.
yeah. That's good to know. How about you? Oh yeah, I asked you already. So I think that's how about Bless?
With the difference in the Philippine setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really different. We're in as an RN in the Philippines, it's pretty much you can do all the job. But here, as they say, you have to stick with your scope of practice.
Yes.
And for me, a tip as well: don't hesitate to ask.
Always
Yeah.
ask.
Yes, always ask. Even the most simple question, always ask. Yeah.
And in the Philippines, there's no LPN.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that is
All
true.
RNs.
Yes. Yeah.
There's only RN and the nursing aid.
Yes.
So there's no in between. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why you'll do everything from stable to unstable patient. Here, LPNs can handle set of or numbers of
Stable patients.
stable patients.
Yeah.
That's good. I think that's about it. That's my
So,
questions.
I have one more question.
Mhm.
Why would people who are working outside of Canada, why would they choose to work
In
as
Nova
a
Scotia.
nurse here in Nova Scotia?
Mhm.
Here in Nova Scotia. Well, if
You already work here, so you have the experience, and why?
Well, Nova Scotia is a really small province.
Yeah.
So if you want a simple life,
Small,
Away-
beautiful province.
yes, of course. It's a beautiful,
People.
scenic province where you can You can visit and explore different places, and it's very
Landscapes.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Yes. So if you want a simple life away from the bustling city,
Oh yes.
so
yes.
you would really love to come to Nova Scotia.
And just to add up onto that one as well, for practical reasons as well, because the usual notion for nurses who would want to come here to Canada, they would well, I would rather say by default they would want to go to bigger cities like Vancouver or
Yeah,
Toronto or
Toronto.
Ottawa. But just so you know, if you will go to these bigger cities, competition is also quite
Yes,
stiff.
sure.
And even if you may have already achieved the licensure as a registered nurse, for example, in Ontario, they usually require a Canadian-based experience.
Wow.
So, dyan pa lang, you are already at a disadvantage.
Mhm.
So,
And there's a lot of applicants lining up.
most
Yeah.
certainly,
Ahead
most
of you.
certainly
Ahead of
you,
you.
exactly. So it is not surprising to find out that pretty much a good majority of nurses, of Pinoy internationally educated nurses who are based in Ontario, they usually transfer here
Mhm.
in Nova Scotia just to achieve that licensure. And not to mention, Nova Scotia has the easiest pathway for nurses.
Yes.
Here we
Wow.
go!
Yes,
Yeah!
So to all
Love the energy.
And the cheapest.
The
Yes.
easiest, the cheapest.
Yes.
And the happiest.
Yes.
And the prettiest.
Of course.
Thanks, Nicole.
Hello.
Ayan. So are there anything else that you guys wanted to convey to those who are watching right now?
Yeah, tips kuya.
Yeah,
Tips
any
na lang
tips?
para,
Yeah.
para sa mga newcomers like me or new, mga nagpaplano na maging registered nurse
To
dito
pursue
sa
their
Nova
registered
Scotia.
nurse. Yeah.
Give us a jolt.
And also those who want to move here.
Yeah.
From other province. Lahat na.
Huwag
Go
ka
on
magpalwit
into
ng mga
other-
nasa ibang province. Pero okay lang po. Kailangan po namin na maraming Pilipino dito para may Jollibee na.
Yes! Correct!
Kulang pa daw ng ano eh, ng
Kulang
numbers
pa
eh.
lang 300,000 na Pilipino dito. Parang awa na. Marami ng Pilipino sa Toronto. Tara po dito sa Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Tara na.
Tara na.
So, mauna si Glenn.
Yan, wait a second. Sabi ni Ren
Okay.
Caluza, blessed sister, sabi niya, good job guys and very informative. And of course, Joy. Joy is a nurse, right?
She's
Joy.
our classmate.
Oh,
in the
And you guys are
program.
classmates as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the two of you. So Joy said, I agree, we are the happiest and ang ganda daw nila.
Hindi naman masyado pinag-
Diba? Alas 10 na po, fresh na ba kami?
Yung ornaments.
Okay, so what are your tips to all those who are planning to come to Nova Scotia as a nurse?
From Les. Ganun tayo.
Letter B.
Just kahit encouragement or tips.
Yeah, there's a lot of struggles, challenges in everywhere you go, right,
Always.
guys? But
It's
just
there.
don't give up. I mean, there's
Don't give
a lot
up.
of
Just
just
hold on.
resources here, and people here, I tell you, are so helpful, accommodating, and yeah, especially we have settled East Coast, right?
Yeah.
I
Big shout out.
Meron pa kasi one in Halifax.
Oh,
Man,
yes.
Yay! And people here smiles, right?
Yay!
Yeah, that's really true. We were somewhere else last time and me and my wife were driving along and we were like, oh, we missed those smiles. Anyway. Lahat nakatulala. Si Bless, continue Bless. Ayun na yun.
What else? Yeah, yun na yun.
Thank you, contestant number 1.
I believe that.
And we're peace.
Oh, aside from having determination, you also need support system.
Yes.
Like for a person like me who often gets like down and
And
gets
trouble.
emotional. Yeah.
Not alone.
Yeah, you really need people to support you.
Yes.
Like it
Oh,
could be
yes,
your
certainly.
parents, it could be your friend, it could be your
Lover.
husband,
Mhm.
yeah, your partner. And
Your
it could be
boyfriend.
actually your boyfriend. It could actually be your classmates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
yes,
your
yes.
classmates they're also going through
The same
just
struggle.
yeah, so they understand.
You share the
you.
same story, so you
Yeah.
share the same struggles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for the newcomers and the people who are planning to go here, just reach out and don't
Yes,
be shy.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Certainly.
Maritimes people are very helpful and yeah, they will-
Approachable, accommodating.
Oh yeah.
smiling.
I like the accommodating part. Yeah.
So yeah, reach out.
So, kasi it's not enough if you just have the determination and desire. It's
Yeah.
always
Yes.
better to share your dreams with
Yeah.
people that you love the
Yeah.
most.
Oh yes,
Build
yes.
your
I
And
support
I-
system.
And
I
I
think
think
kasi determination kung walang
Taga-push.
taga-push.
Speaking of taga-push, I'd like to say hi to Jenny Estrada. She's watching from Saudi Arabia. And And Jenny, I just want to let you know that I met your friends from Saudi Arabia. They now moved to PI.
Oh,
And hopefully they'll come to Nova Scotia.
Ang nag-exist si
Ay, okay na sila dun sa
si
PI.
Furman John.
Yes, Furman John is watching also.
Very
And John,
active din yan sa mga nurses group.
Oh, they're in the Philippines right now, I think, having
Yeah.
vacation.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
John De La
Yeah,
Cruz is also a nurse. He's watching. Nurse ba siya? Ay,
Yeah.
mali siguro ako.
Ah,
John De La Cruz?
Yeah, she's a
She's a
registered.
Registered nurse.
Yes.
And Roji. Si Roji nurse na ba?
Our classmate.
We're-
Ah, okay. Ayan.
Soon.
Soon.
Very soon.
Okay,
Yeah.
speaking of
There you go.
soon, Janice, pasok. What's your tips?
So you really need to build your network.
True.
Yes.
True.
Like it, this. Sige, Janice, go.
Sidelines. No, you really need to build your network from your family or your church mate or your friends,
Yes.
your
Yes,
classmates, or
true.
even your coworker. Because here, like you're far away from your immediate family, your parents or your sisters. So you need to reach out to other people. Otherwise, you'll be depressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Especially going through.
hindi lahat ng tao lalapit sa'yo. Kailangan ikaw
Yes,
din lumapit.
yes.
True, true, true.
You also
You have
Hindi
need
ka ganun kaganda.
Wala ba?
Joke lang.
Marami
No,
ba?
what I'm trying to say is, hindi tayo ganun ka-entitled na yung tao yung lalapit sa atin. Kailangan natin mag-reach out.
You have to do the initiative.
Yes.
So take the initiative. Jenny Estrada, she's really following our live stream right now. It's not that I want to convince her to come. She's in Saudi Arabia as a nurse. I know that the pay scale is quite higher, or I don't know if it's better in Saudi Arabia. But in that case, Jenny Estrada is still thinking of coming to Canada as a nurse. What's your specific advice for her? Because she feels content in Saudi Arabia, but she has that thought of coming to Canada.
Well,
What's your advice to her? Because she came from Oman.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's a neighbor country of Saudi
Or
Arabia.
neighbors.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, actually, like the pay scale is really different in the Middle East because it's tax free
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
It is
compared
tax-free.
here.
Sayang.
So your salary would go more if you have overtime or like pending off,
Holidays,
yes, holiday, and you're gonna cash out your
That's already your
Pending
net pay.
yeah. So
Yes, yes, yes. I agree.
your pay or your salary would go higher, but
Wow.
it wouldn't go lower because there's no tax.
True.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, like maybe it's different now, but during my time,
During your time.
yeah,
That's right.
there's no that's tax free. So that's why it's
Really high.
really different that you would think of not going to other overseas like in the Western countries. However,
Kana na jud.
yeah,
However,
however, if you would
Gastos ang
if you would think about your future, like especially if you have family
with your kids,
with
yeah.
your kids, so where do you want to settle and retire and prepare for your
Is there a
retirement?
citizenship in Saudi Arabia?
No.
You know what?
No.
Funny
okay.
that you mentioned that one. Because in Saudi Arabia, there is now a policy that is called Saudization. Johnny, I know you can relate to this one. Kasi like for example, in my case, both of my parents, even my sister and I, we actually came from Saudi Arabia bago kami dumating dito sa Canada. So, doon pa lang, dati pa lang, na-feel na namin yung Saudization, which means to say that all jobs, pretty much, yung mga nasa high-end spectrum or mga professional jobs are now reserved for Saudi nationals. So, ibig sabihin,
Yes.
exactly. So, which means to say it is relatively harder.
As
na-
opposed to Canada, it's very inclusive.
In Canada,
And
it's
open.
very inclusive.
Open
Exactly.
to everyone. Yeah.
Precisely. So, I do agree with you, Teh. Kasi if you really are thinking of the long-term goals, then Canada would be your option. But for Saudi Arabia kasi, in my opinion, this is just my opinion basing from my personal experiences growing up in Saudi.
Oh, you grew up in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, basing from my experience growing up in Saudi, kumbaga, if you really want to earn money, Saudi is a good venue for you to
Yeah.
start with. Yun nga lang, in the end, kasi, Jenny, I know you can relate to this one. Once you reach 60 years old,
Sure.
whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
you will have to go back to your home
It's the
country.
same.
Oh,
It's the same
okay.
in Oman.
Yeah, same in
So
Qatar.
once you reach 60 years
Mhm.
old, then you are forced to retire,
Yes.
regardless.
Whether you like it or
Yeah.
not.
So that means when you were forced to retire, you have to go back to your home country.
You have to go back to your home country.
Because there's no citizenship.
Because there's no
So Jenny, you
citizenship.
have less than 30 years.
Walang booking na ng age.
We still have more time. It's
Oh,
not
yes.
too late.
Saka
Ayan.
may isip mo rin na kahit mataas yung sahod sa Middle East, tatanong yung sarili mo, what's next for me?
That is true.
Yes.
That is true.
Yeah.
And speaking of Middle East, kasi Jenny, I know makaka-relate ka rin dito kung sasabihin ko to kasi naririnig
We
ko
can
from
relate
my
sabi niya, you
mom.
are right now.
Parang, right? Diba, Jenny?
I'm
So
convinced.
Jenny,
Consider Nova Scotia.
so shout out lang Jenny ha. Correct me if I'm wrong, pero I'm pretty sure this is correct. Kasi if you are a Philippine passport holder or if you're a Southeast Asian passport holder, iba ang pay scale versus if you are a Western passport holder.
True.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
True.
It's a different pay scale.
It's a
treatment.
different pay scale. Different treatment. Let's face it.
Yes.
It's discriminatory,
We
but
cannot
that's the way how
expect
Middle East ticks pretty much. Kasi, for example, in Saudi Arabia, if you are a Filipino passport holder, ang salary ng RN is nasa 4,000 Saudi riyals.
Yes.
But if
Tama.
you are ang conversion is, I believe, from the last time I remembered, is 1 Canadian dollar is to 3 Saudi riyal.
Okay.
And that's
Wow.
per month. So, whereas if you are a Canadian national or a US national,
Yeah, tama daw sabi niya. It's
right?
based on nationality.
Exactly. Based on nationality.
But we, just to make it clear, baka maano tayo. Just to make it clear, we have nothing against
Of course.
Yeah.
the country
Oh,
or
yes,
Just
whatnot.
comparing.
Yeah, this is just
We're
based
just
on our
comparing.
experience, and
We're just comparing,
we
yes.
really appreciate that we are in Canada. We have the freedom of speech, and we really
Yes.
appreciate that. So yeah, those are really great inputs, though. So Jenny, if you have any questions, please like Pinoy International Educated Nurses and Pinoy Immigration Canada when in Halifax and Settle East Coast. So there's a lot of
Resources.
a lot of groups, forums online on Facebook that you guys can get connected. And of course, East Coast Filipino Portal is here for you as well. So thank you so much, Stephen, for those amazing inputs. So yes, ang salary base sa nationality, that's according mismo kay Jenny Estrada
Yes.
as well. So we're done with Jenny. With
Janice mom.
Okay, so thank you so much for the information, and definitely Jenny will get connected with me soon. Can't wait. We are buddies in the same city in Zamboanga. So yeah, neighbors kami. So Stephen, what's your final words or any tips to all those who are watching right now? Ang dami na natin na pag-usapan.
Oh, yes.
Ang dami nang nangyari. So ano na? Ano yung what's your
So, siguro ang final say ko, kasi pretty much a good majority have already mentioned what I also have in mind. Pero siguro ang isa sa mga advices ko, one of my advices is, if you're here in Canada, just keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Kasi remember, this is a free country, which means to say that everybody can pretty much have the freedom to do so. Like for example, meron ditong LGBT Pride Parade. In Saudi Arabia, walang ganun kasi bawal.
bawal.
So dito, everybody is free to open up.
Open talaga siya.
Open country dito
You can
sa
be
Canada.
yourselves.
Yes.
We can be ourselves.
It can be
You can
good.
be as pretty as
Yes.
whoever you are.
It can be good. It can be bad in some ways. Bad in such a manner that people here really say what they really think. So may pagka-direct sila, unlike sa atin na minsan mahiya tayo kasi baka ma-offend natin ang tao.
Pero with consideration on courtesy naman.
Of course
I like,
naman.
yeah,
Yeah,
I like that. I like that denominator in Canada because they're very courteous and kind.
Yes.
Yes.
So despite the
Yeah.
fact na medyo Christian can attest to that, he's a
Yes.
Cape Bretoner. So parang there's always like this niceness about Nova Scotians.
Yes.
Diba? Kahit na medyo may patama.
Like,
So
oh, yes,
it's
always.
still always.
Always.
But still they say it in a very nice way that you can understand and that you can really appreciate despite the fact of that constructive criticism. So
True.
so be an open, have an open mind when you come here. Ano pa, Stephen?
Be an open book. Paki-edit po yun. Mali po yun, paki-edit.
So keep an open mind and And again, if you plan to come here na, for example, kung wala kang family members dito, try to expand your networks pati. I mean, I'm resonating to what you said earlier. Always friends and pretty much acquaintances.
How about you, Nico?
Being a newcomer
Being a
here.
newcomer here, just could, Tagalog na lang ako. Kasi English ko talaga. Kanina pa ako nag-English. Ano po, yun, basta keep on going. Isipin nyo, mag-set lang kayo ng mga small goals. That's what I do for myself. Set a small goal para madali mo siyang makamit and just to validate yourself na kaya mong gawin yun. Kasi lalo na sa mga tao nag-undergo or pwedeng magkaroon ng depression, easily getting down because of maybe hindi sila nakakakuha ng
Nasa newcomer stage pa talaga si Nico.
Yeah.
Lahat ay dumaan na dyan, Nick.
Yeah.
Sige,
Yung-
ipaglaban mo yan.
Yeah, yung hindi mo ma-appreciate kung tama ba ginagawa mo or mayroon ba akong nagagawang tama. Yun, ang ginagawa ko is
Grabe, hugot mo na.
Naiyak tuloy si Joey.
kailangan mo mag-set ng small goals para madali mo siyang ma-achieve and then just pat yourself, you're doing great, and then just para maabot mo yung kung ano yung long-term goal mo,
Yes.
yun.
I would really
Small
agree.
steps
Yeah, I would
towards
really
our
agree
bigger
because
dream.
Sometimes, like in this process, because if you would compare it
It's
to
frustrating, right?
yeah, if you would compare it to the you as becoming a nurse, there
It's
is
easy.
easier than here.
And
So sometimes
Later.
you doubted yourself
Mhm.
if this is the right
Real
place
path, yeah.
for you and the right decision to come here.
Mhm.
But
So should I?
of course, like there's always a reason why you're here,
Yeah.
why
Okay.
we are here. So just don't lose hope.
Yeah.
So I'll put a reminder weekly, Nico, to send you a message that everything's okay, you're doing great.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
And before we'll end, we'll just have a quick reminder of our promo play. So guys, if you want to win Longanisa, care of Kuya Moise, and of course, for the retro concert tomorrow, September 28th, at Diman Lebanese Center in Kearney Lake. If you are into 70s, 80s, and 90s music, please contact Helen Burchell, Sharon De Hernale, and of course Alan, and email them at pinoyeventhalifax@gmail.com. So, yeah, are you guys excited to win those prizes? Okay.
Yay!
So we have three.
Kaya nga,
Hindi kasi guess.
Okay.
Sana yung guest din may langgunisa. Baka naman po.
Okay.
pang-ulam lang.
Ayan. I-shoutout muna tayo para gusto na we want to say hi to Flores Rees. Na-miss ka namin. You are our avid viewer. Thank you so much. And of course, Dennis Cesar Kakayan. Thank you so much for watching. And Jessa, is she sick? She's happy. Okay. Jessa Moreno, she's watching. Thank you so much. Sino pa guys you wanna send a
Ay,
shout out?
classmate niyo si Christine. Christine Datuon.
Hi, Christine! Hi to our classmates.
Yeah, Joy
Joy,
and
Rod.
Yeah. And of course, Paul Natividad is watching right now. And I want to say hi also to our city councilor, Sir Cabato. Thank you so much for supporting East Coast Filipino Portal. On your end there, Donick.
Yeah, so si Paul, si
Indy's watching
Aladdin,
also. Yeah.
Aladdin Aquino from the Valley, I think.
And of course, my neighbor, Mai, she's watching right now. Silong, thank you so much for always supporting us.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully next
Good
month we'll
food.
go back to Silong kasi
Yes.
ang daming mga requests for Silong. And of course, our avid Settle East Coast supporter, Mercedita Valdez. Andiyan pa rin sila, gising na gising. It's 10 o'clock right now, PM in Canada, while it's 9 a.m. in the Philippines. Roji, she's still watching. Brian, from our previous live stream to now, you're still there.
Yeah.
And of course, Donick is watching.
Yeah, si Ellen.
Lahat
I'm gonna
natin.
go watch.
Nico also has just joined us finally.
Hi.
Nabigyan siya ng password.
Hi, Nico.
Yeah.
people watching the Philippines.
Philippines.
Okay, so finally, before that, are there specific individuals, I know we've mentioned them, are there specific individuals that you guys want to thank on your journey towards becoming a registered nurse here in Canada that you want to thank?
Bless.
I want to thank, first my sister Ren Cadusa, my brother Onyx Cadusa, and Mr. John and Johnny's Morehouse.
Yung sa hagdanan.
Yung hagdanan.
Just,
Si Carl.
Jowa pala ako.
Siyempre yung anak
Siya
ko,
pa-bless you.
pinakamaganda si Azel.
yung gitara mo.
Ano gagawin ko sa
Mamaya, kakanta. Ayan. So, thank you so much sa mga tumulong kay Bless at tumutulong pa rin kay Faith.
I want to thank my sister Riza, my brother Florante. Florante.
Wow.
And all my siblings in the Philippines. I still have 5. And my family, and my parents. Sorry, my boyfriend.
Buti pa siya may boyfriend.
Hindi, nakatune in si Jen Salas ba? Ang kapatid to? Sino to?
Janet
Salas
Piazza.
Piazza.
Yung asawa niya.
Kapatid siya, di ba?
And my friends, yeah, kapatid.
Alam na nilang may jowa ka sa
And my
Pilipinas.
classmates. Yeah, thank you all for your
And your
support.
parents are watching also.
Yeah, hi Mama and Papa in the Philippines.
Yan.
Yeah.
O, Janice ka na. Pasok.
I'd like to thank of course, my ever supportive husband,
Alfredo.
Alfred Duray, and my 2
Gising pa ba si
beautiful-
Alfred?
He's waiting he's waiting outside.
Oh, gano.
Yes. He's
Alfred,
shy.
get inside the studio. Or not the somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Pasok ka.
He always support like my
Career.
dreams and
Aww.
goals, career in life.
And you're
He's
not-
always there through thin and thick. So, and hi to my 2 beautiful daughters, Sophia and Samantha. Samantha just turned 3 yesterday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
And of course, to my ever dearest mother, Nida, because she came here as a visitor visa and helped me take care of the kids while in my I'm in my bridging program.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Wow, that's a great help.
Yes.
So yun ang tinatawag na help talaga, di ba?
Very helpful. So please, huwag ka muna umuwi. Stay here. I still need you.
And of course, enjoy fall. Fall is one of the best seasons.
Yes, I would
And
say.
it's really nice in Nova Scotia, guys. If those are watching from other provinces, we have fall in Nova Scotia.
We have
Just to let
We
you know.
haven't fallen yet.
That's a good
No
point.
snow has fallen yet. Okay, Stephen.
Well, in my case, I would like to recognize my parents, Marilu and Manuel Condenuevo, for
Well,
their,
complete name. That's
for
awesome.
their support, for their never-ending support sa akin, and also to my sister, Sarah Rose. As
She's
well.
a singer.
And she's
Yeah.
a singer, yes. And also to Christian Brazauskas.
Aww.
Wow.
Emotional
No,
support.
no, he's quite alive. A while ago, it's like, talking now. But na-inspire siya.
Of course. So yes, without them, I just don't know how to go on. Really, I mean, again, your social support is really quite important for you to move on, and
Yeah.
they are actually the main reasons on what got me motivated to go on.
Yeah, dreams only become meaningful when we are connected with our families and our loved ones.
Of course.
So guys, thank you so much. Ha?
Galing mo talaga.
Salamat. Kahit pa paano nagamit ko naman. Western Mindanao State University.
Talaga, no?
Salamat. Sige, so yan, dumami sila. Thank you so much, Fedeliza Ariola, Tito Bentayo, he's watching, and Jen Salas. Guys, you know what? If I can just bring back time, or go back to the past where my brother offered me to take that 2-year, because back in that year, after your graduation, you can actually pursue a 2-year nursing program, sort of like a bridging in the Philippines and then become a nurse. So I was offered that, but no, I went into sales. But now, hearing from you guys, it's really inspiring that despite the difficulty and the hurdles that you have to go through to become a registered nurse here in Canada, still you guys are dedicated, you guys are determined, and above all, you guys are still staying looking good, you know, despite all of those challenges. On behalf of East Coast Filipino Portal, we are very grateful and thankful for all of you.
Our pleasure.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Our pleasure. And thanks for having us.
We hope to have another follow-up episode with the nurses. So hopefully, hindi kayo magsasawa to come here and, you know, make this a bigger network. You know, as you mentioned.
Guesting nila RN na sila.
Yeah.
There you
So,
go.
speaking of support, we're very glad that we have some supporters for our promo play. So, if you guys have joined our promo play, get ready because you might win Longanisa and a ticket to the retro concert tomorrow.
Okay.
Alright.
Stephen is ready to
Alright.
click the spin.
So our contestants are Alvaro de Vega, Sherilyn Fernandez, and Juliet Albon. So,
Yay!
all right, who will be the lucky one? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. So, okay. Okay, so I finally have a winner. And the winner is... Drum roll!
Yay!
Sherilyn Fernandez.
Congratulations!
So, you have won yourself that special Longanisa care of Kuya Moise. And
There
just
you
one
go.
second.
Kuya Moises, baka naman
Okay.
po.
This is the ticket for...
Kaya ko,
Okay.
kaya ko.
Kahit tiga-apat lang po. Ang tanghalian bukas.
Okay, so
And our next winner for the retro concert ticket happening tomorrow, September 28th at Diman Lebanese in Kearney Lake here in Halifax.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ate Helen and the rest of the team.
Thank
And
you.
good luck on your concert tomorrow. It's only $25, so you get to enjoy, relax, and there's a lot of food vendors as well.
Oh,
So
yes, oh, yes.
to all the nurses who are watching, you have the option to chill and relax tomorrow. Okay, who's our winner for that?
All right, here we go. So, spinning the wheel, and okay. So, looks like I have a winner. So, drum roll. Juliet Albon.
Yay!
And once again, guys, tomorrow we will be very busy as we will have the first ever monthly meetup with our newcomers here in Nova Scotia.
Yay! So 1 o'clock to 2:30 will be at 49 Parisian Court in Larry UTech. And thanks to Eden Navida for he's also a nurse. He's in our
Wow.
LPN, and then Teresa Navida for helping us set up the location for the meetup tomorrow.
And of course, to all those newcomers who have kids, you guys feel free to come over because there's a game and movie rooms that we will accommodate you. So while your kids are busy watching movies or playing, you are busy in getting a lot of information and right knowledge for you to start right and make meaningful connections here in East Coast Canada. So from your financial decisions, we'll be there to help, to your mortgage aspirations, your career development, to career change from employee to business dreams. That's our goal. It will not happen in one meetup once a month. So it's a series of meetups, and I really appreciate. We've been learning a lot from other communities like the Nigerians, the Chinese who have been guesting in our show, and of course we can't wait to have the Indians next week as they will
Yes.
promote their event also. So as coming from East Coast Filipino Portal and Settle East Coast, when in Halifax, Pinoy Canada Immigration, we have been learning a lot from other communities. So guys, if you want to join us on the Settle East Coast first monthly meetup for newcomers, join us tomorrow from 1 to 2:30 at 49
Parisian.
Mas maganda pag sabi mo. 49
Parisian.
in Larry Uteg.
So,
So,
siya, second generation. Mali yun.
so
Edit mo
Rocky Rove, he will be coming in next month. So now we are already connected with Rocky, and he's quite excited to come here. because he already has a place to stay. So, my fellow Filipino nurses, thank you for the information, sabi ni Rocky. So,
Yeah.
and of course, you have to join Rocky. You have to join the Pinoy
IEN.
IEN. So, ganun lang. Type Pinoy IEN.
Pinoy IEN, yes.
Okay.
It's
And
a Facebook, right?
That's in Facebook, yes.
And that's all over Canada.
All over Canada, yep.
Okay. I think it's nice if also you guys will come up with just for Nova Scotia, di ba?
Oh,
Or
yes.
depende.
Depends.
Sa plano. Ayan. So, guys, this has been another great episode with the nurses, the Filipino nurses.
Yeah, thank you
so
very much!
And we're gonna end with a song. Before that, once again, this has been your friend Al Landing In.
And Donica Bat.
And of course, our guest host for tonight,
Nico Hoson.
here on East Coast Filipino Portal. And we'll have a special song before we'll end from Bless.
There's not a look at
See?
background ka na.
Kunwari lang.
Kailangan niyo po ba ng backup singer?
Background singer.
Background singer.
Hi to Ruby.
Gusto mo ba, Bless, gusto mo dito sa front?
Hello po sa nanay ko.
Doni gusto niya. Gusto niya so.
Hi to my classmates.
Live.
Live pa nga.
Yeah.
Okay. Doni
Hello po sa nanay ko.
Gusto
sa
ni Bless.
Pilipinas.
Gusto ni Bless.
Punta na po kayo dito sa Nova Scotia. Nakabingo po kami buwan-buwan.
Hindi ka diya. Oo nga naka. Sige.
Okay.
Ayan, so you guys wanna say anything? Si Janice, diba? You can follow Janice on Facebook also.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
Halifax
Yes, for
Beauty
sure.
Essentials
Yeah.
for
My body.
beauty needs.
for your beauty skincare. Just please.
Ilagay niya sa
like my
EBP.
page.
Yes.
Di ba obvious
Hindi pa
masyado?
obvious.
Dito
Ayan.
talaga sa harap.
Oh.
Yes.
And Stephen, I know you were busy, so you
Yes.
came from work and you're here. And David so said once again, thank you so much. And now let's hit it. Bless.
Yay!
I know, this song is for all of you guys. Especially Carl Simon, shout out.
Wow, na-mention na talaga.
It's a one look, and forever they're out in front of one smile. When I die, only to bury
True Find, Primerica, and of course, Mortgage Alliance. Thank you guys, Stephen, Bless,
Thank you.
Faith, and Janice, and of course our guest host,
Thank you.
Nico. Thank you so much. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Hello, Ate Proni.
East Coast Filipino Portal.